Liverpool advanced to the fifth round of the FA Cup, with some people asking the question of whether or not Arne Slot's men have turned a bit of a corner. Hey guys, welcome to the channel. Welcome to another video. Today's video is going to center around that very question. We're going to be looking at Liverpool's big win in the FA Cup against Brighton. The Reds advancing to the fifth round, which will be drawn tonight. Just before the, I think, is it the Macclesfield-Brentford game? I think that's the game that's on tonight. So before that game takes place, the fifth round draw will happen there and then. And then obviously we're going to be looking into the question of whether or not Liverpool have turned a corner under Arne Slot with some decent performances, I will admit, in their past few games. But before we get into all of that, how are we all doing? How are we all doing? I know this has been a while since we last did one of these. I've had a busy week, personal and family-wise. So, yeah, I haven't done one of these for a while, but we're back on the train again. We're back on the journey again. As always, hit the like button if you haven't already. Subscribe if you're new or want to see more content like this. Both things will always be greatly appreciated. And, of course, I encourage each and every single one of you to get involved in the chat. Whether it's you're just saying hi, whether you're telling me where you're watching from today or what you're up to today, all of that would be greatly appreciated. But of course, we're mainly here to talk football. So obviously, drop your footballing opinions, your predictions, feelings, whatever you want to call it, in the comment section, in the chat, and we will address them in due course. Like I say, hope we're all doing good today. Hope we're all good. As always, I appreciate the love, support, and even taking just a moment of your time out of your busy schedules to obviously watch this guy ramble. Where to begin? We'll begin with Saturday, shall we? We'll begin with Saturday. Saturday, 8 o'clock kickoff. Liverpool versus Brighton at Anfield. Massive game in the fourth round of the FA Cup. One of Liverpool's last saving graces to kind of save this season from being completely and utterly destroyed, mocked, ridiculed, and embarrassed. And Liverpool passed with flying colours. Liverpool passed with flying colours. And it was actually one of the more enjoyable performances that I've seen of Liverpool this season. It was actually decent. And I haven't said that too much this campaign. It was a game in which some of the football was really good. It was a game in which some of the football was enjoyable to watch. It was some football that quite easy on the eye at times even. It was actually a very good performance. And I wasn't expecting it going into the game. But Liverpool did really well. They did really, really well in obviously just getting the win in general. Just getting the win in general, advancing to the next round of the competition. Liverpool did exactly what they needed to, and they did it with flying colours, like I say. Big up Jose, who's in the building. Lovely to have you here, my friend. Good to have you here. Hope you're doing well on this Monday morning. Hope your week is starting off really, really well, my friend. Curtis Jones gets the ball rolling. Great cross by Kirkez. 1-0 Liverpool. Second goal, again, lovely bit of play. Gakpo, great ball across to Salah. Salah with a beautiful little layoff to Szoboszlai. Sees the run, waits the pass perfectly into the path of Szoboszlai, and he makes no mistake in firing into the back of the net. And then Mo Salah wins a penalty and then steps up to convert the penalty in what was, I'm going to say, a great way of capping it all off. Rio Ngamoa should have got Liverpool's fourth, but no VAR means it wasn't overturned as being offside. It wasn't offside. Ngamoa was robbed of a goal there. But luckily, it didn't have too much bearing on the game. Liverpool still won. Liverpool advanced to the fifth round of the FA Cup. And you know what? hopefully we get a good tie. Hopefully we get a good tie. And by a good tie, I mean a favourable one. I don't want to face another Premier League side, mainly because, it's not what the competition's about, facing Premier League sides. You can face Premier League sides all season long. I'm looking for a simple tie, or at least something that might be a little challenging, an away tie against a Championship side or a League One side if they're still in. I mean, the lowest ranked side is obviously going to go to Man City, and the second lowest ranked side is going to be going to Arsenal. So there's no point asking for like Mansfield or Macclesfield or whoever. So we may have to make do with another all Premier League affair, which Liverpool seem to get the majority of the time in these competitions anyway. But Liverpool are through. That's all that matters. And it was a very, very good performance. Like I say, very good performances all around. Milos Kerkez. Let's start with Milos Kerkez, shall we? I said to anyone and everyone that would listen, Milos Kerkez is incredible. He just needs the right positioning, the right role, and you will see the best of Milos Kerkez. And I feel like over the past few months or so, we have started to really see that. We have really started to see that. Milos Kerkez has been vastly improved. And I think on Saturday night, he gets an assist for the Curtis Jones goal. Probably unfortunate not to maybe get a goal. I love his intensity. I love his passion. I love the fact that he wears his heart on his sleeve. I love everything about this guy. And we're starting to now see that this inverted role is seemingly in the past. Him being his natural self is exactly where he needs to be. It's where he wants to be. It's where he is most comfortable. And you're starting to see a better Milos Kerkez because of it. There are times where maybe he's a little too intense. Maybe he does try to do everything at 100 miles an hour. But the guy is awesome. And we're starting to really, really see that come to fruition now. And I'm very much happy that Milos Kerkez is 100%, has pretty much now arrived at Liverpool Football Club. And I'm very happy to see his development going forward. Curtis Jones at right back. So happy to see him back in the squad, even if it is in a more unnatural position, shall we say. Again, brilliant. Provides so much for not just himself, but for others as well. Makes Mo Salah look better. Makes Dominic Szoboszlai look even better. Curtis Jones was brilliant. Takes his goal really well. I thought he was solid throughout the entire course of his game. Centre-back pairing, solid as usual. Well, as we've known them over the years, at least. Solid from the midfield. I thought we actually looked a little better at times with Ryan Gravenberch not being there. I know that may not exactly please a lot of people. And I do like Ryan Gravenberch. But maybe this was the right game to take him out. Szoboszlai, McAllister, solid. Verts in there as well, looking decent. It took probably took about 20 minutes or so for Liverpool to get to grips with the game. There were certain times where, again, midfield was getting bypassed a little too easy. But you're against Brighton. You're against one of the most attacking front foot units, not just in the Premier League, but in world football. They are going to create opportunities and chances. And after a while, Liverpool did get to grips with it, and they nullified Brighton for the most part after that. Salah, one of his better games. providing threats down that right-hand side, whether it be through his dribbling, his passing, shooting, his movement, all of that's good stuff. Salah was on point in that game, and it's great to see. And I really, really hope that we get to see more of that from Mo Salah going forward. It was just an all-round good performance. Even some of the poorer players in the team, mediocre performances maybe, but nothing awful. Even Gakpo, I wouldn't say was completely terrible. At least he had moments where he was actually okay. Nothing amazing, nothing to write home about, but again, decent enough moments. I would have liked to have seen more of Rio Ngamoa. I would have liked to have seen a bit more of Trey Nyoni, for example. But I can't complain with the result. And like I say, this is what we need to save our season. Obviously, Champions League, we'll address that bridge when we come to it. But I'd like us to go for the FA Cup. I really, really would like us to go for the FA Cup. Wembley, FA Cup, another trophy in the cabinet. I would like us to go for this competition. Mainly because, obviously, Premier League's out of the question. Carabao Cup's already done and dusted. So, winning the FA Cup would be big. It wouldn't save our season completely. Of course not. I'm not saying that solely the FA Cup is going to save our season. But a Champions League and an FA Cup, things may start to look a little differently as far as what we're concerned. But again, we've got a long, long way to go before we can get too ahead of ourselves on that one. But it has opened the question. It has kicked off this question of whether or not Liverpool have turned a corner this season. Now, it's obviously taken a long, long time, if that is the case, to actually happen. Liverpool have had a shocking season. The level of excitement and optimism that pre-season brought into this football club has obviously dwindled and died as the seasons wore on. And yeah, it actually feels weird to actually have a positive kind of stream for once. A positive stream where I'm talking about Liverpool in a somewhat positive way, because it's just been that poor. But in saying that, it's incredible that this season still has a hope of being saved. And there is a bit more excitement. Right now, because the past few games, okay, maybe the results haven't quite been there, but the performances have actually been all right. Even City, the second half against City, we were okay in that game. We weren't great. We didn't take our chances when they came to us, and that ultimately came back to haunt us and bite us. But we were actually all right. We were decent. We were good midweek against Sunderland. Again, not perfect, but decent enough. And then against Brighton, we were very good. Now, what I will say is that the game on Saturday, don't put too much stock in it. Enjoy it for what it is. Be happy, of course. But I'm not putting too much stock in it personally. And the reason why is because Brighton had a bit of a rotated side. Brighton also are well drilled in playing out from the back. They're well drilled in playing football. And as we've seen this season, Liverpool's best performances come against teams that want to play football out from the back. They don't want to go long. They don't want to go direct. They want to try and play out from the back. They want to try and play some football. And Liverpool thrive on that. Liverpool do thrive on that. Not all the time, but the vast majority of the time, they will thrive on that. Teams playing out from the back. They don't want you to go long. They don't want you to go direct or be physical with them. They want you to try and play out from the back. And that suits Liverpool down to the ground. And Liverpool will punish you most times. About 7 or 8 times out of 10, Liverpool will punish you for doing that. As we've seen this season with Aston Villa. As we've seen this season with Real Madrid. As we've seen this season with Marseille, Frankfurt, this team, that team. There's been a few teams that have tried that, especially in the Champions League at least. Brighton tried the same thing. I put more stock in the result against Sunderland than I do against Brighton, because Sunderland weren't, I wouldn't say they were trying to play football, but they kind of mix it up a little bit. They try and play out from the back at times, but they also go long. They also go physical. They also have made the Stadium of Light an absolute fortress this season, right? So I put more stock in that result. The performances from Liverpool have improved. There's no doubt about it. I've seen, whether it be individuals like Kanate, for example, I think he's been absolutely outstanding these past few games, or whether it be some of the overall play from the team, which actually looks like it's connecting a little better. It looks like the team are starting to actually get used to each other again. It's actually been great to see a team that's got a bit more cohesion about it than what it was like at the beginning of the season, where it looked like a team of strangers had just randomly decided to show up at Anfield or wherever we were playing and decided to try and play football, when it looked like they just had nothing about them whatsoever. No fight, no tenacity, no intensity, no passion, lackluster, lethargic, tired. It just looked like a team that could not be bothered to turn up and play some football in that game or in those games. Now I think the corner is slowly starting to turn, but I am very hesitant to say that this is it now. Very hesitant to say that. Why? Because we've seen too many false dawns. We've seen too many of these false starts. Every single time that you can name this season of a good result, we haven't kicked on in the way that we should have done or we hoped we'd do. Look at Aston Villa and Real Madrid. 2 games in which we're like, oh, we may have got over that blip. We We beat Villa. Very tough game. No one really beats Villa this season. We've gone and beaten Villa. Oh, we've also gone and beat the second best team in Spain. Oh, wonderful. We've just gone and beat Real Madrid. We actually dominated Real Madrid. 1-0 flattered Real Madrid. Let's really kick on from here. Let's really show the Premier League that we are not going to take this lying down, that we're back. And then we go and lose to Man City. We go and lose to Forest. We get absolutely battered in our own backyard by PSV. Those are the kinds of things that I am talking about when I say false starts. We have the unbeaten run, which was the most underwhelming, uninspiring unbeaten run I think I've ever seen in world football. It's the only saving grace that Arne Slot had during the December to mid-January period of the season. I don't know what to tell you people, man. I don't know. I'm not getting too ahead of myself. I see people online talking about it. I see people online saying that Liverpool have turned a corner, that Arne Slot's proved everybody wrong, that people that are that are Arne Slot out have been left with egg on their face and been left embarrassed by the situation at hand. And I say to those people, 1 or 2 results doesn't change my opinion. 1 or 2 results does not change my stance on what I see of things right now. I'm still Slot out. But continue to play this way. Continue to prove me wrong in terms of the performances and the results, whether it be in the Premier League to get Champions League football, whether it to be Champions League winners this season, or whether it to be the winners of the FA Cup. Continue to prove me wrong, and I will say that I'm wrong. I've always said, I hope I am wrong in everything that I've said about Slot, everything that I've said about Liverpool. I've always said, I'm open to being wrong. And if I am wrong, and if I'm proven wrong, I will very happily take that L. I will very happily be like, I got something wrong. Oh no, shoot me. I will very happily be called out for being wrong on this. Because at the end of the day, I still win. If Arne Slot wins the Champions League and the FA Cup, for example, I'm wrong in my opinion, but I've also seen my team win a Champions League and an FA Cup in the same season. I'm also seeing my club win their 7th Champions League and another FA Cup to add to our collections. I'm not really a loser in that situation, am I? I will very happily say I'm wrong if things improve. But 1 or 2 games here and there, I mean, even on my old videos of saying that Arne Slot has lost the plot, calling out Slot for saying this, for saying that, for saying the other, I have people comment on those videos after Liverpool had won against Sunderland, after Liverpool had won at the weekend. And they basically go, are you going to apologise to Slot? I'm like, no. No. 1 or 2 results does not mean anything. Because as we've seen all season, Liverpool have managed to pick up 1 or 2 results here and there. It doesn't change what has happened in the next game or 2. That Liverpool then falter and stutter and go back to being mediocre again. I want to say Liverpool have turned a corner. I really, really do. I really want to say that Liverpool are going to kick on now and that Champions League football is going to be secure for next season. We're going to go on and secure a 7th Champions League title. We're going to go and win the FA Cup. But I can't guarantee that. I'm more optimistic than I was a couple of weeks ago. But that optimism, it's not exactly sky high. It's not exactly all-time rocket high. Still got a long way to go. Still got a long, long way to go. We just hope that obviously things change. We hope that obviously things get better. And we hope that obviously Liverpool can continue to be on this upwards trajectory of good performances and good results. But whether or not that will happen or not remains to be seen. Remains to be seen. I don't know. I genuinely don't know. Look, and whether you can tell or not, I'm happy. I'm happy about the result. Happy about the performance. Slot deserves some credit for what happened. Players deserve some credit as well for what's happened at the weekend. Everybody goes home a winner. Everybody goes home a winner. We move on. We've got big games coming up in the Premier League, or big games coming up in the well, depending on who we get in the FA Cup, of course. I can't remember 100%. I can't remember 100% what week the 5th round of the FA Cup is going to be taking. So that's going to be interesting. Although the 5th round normally is a midweek thing, isn't it? I feel like the FA Cup 5th round is normally now a midweek. Oh, well, they're saying it's about the 7th, the 8th of March. I thought it was a midweek. I thought sometimes they play the FA Cup midweek. So they're saying it's the 7th. It will be played on the 7th, the 8th of March. Which actually now does make sense as there's a gap. There's a gap there. So we'll play Wolves on the 3rd. That weekend is then free, and then we got Tottenham the weekend after. Yeah, so probably then. So it's not too long until the 5th round. Not too long, good couple of weeks. But like I say, it's going to be an interesting one to see who we get. It's going to be a very interesting one to see who we get. We'll go through that in a second, but we've obviously got Nottingham Forest on Sunday. That's going to be massive in terms of the Premier League title, and it's at the City ground as well. And typically, Forest have obviously just appointed their new manager, so we've got that to contend with as well, throwing us a bit of a spanner in the works. Am I right in thinking? I just want to search this up. I just want to search this up. No, it wasn't. I thought Sean Dyche's first game for Forest was against us. I was wrong. Still was Dyche, but it was somewhat later on, wasn't it? Yeah, mid-November. Yeah, I got it completely wrong. I got my timetable completely wrong. But yeah, we're having to face a Nottingham Forest side who are going to be under their new head coach. So that throws a bit of a spanner in the works, like I say. Then next week, we're taking on West Ham. 3:00 game on Saturday. We then got Wolves to contend with midweek a few days later at Molineux. Then obviously it will be the FA Cup weekend. Then we'll face Tottenham the weekend after at Anfield. Brighton then follow 6 days later. 12:30 kickoff that one on the Saturday. Obviously we'll have Champions League factored in at some point. So that's going to be interesting to see when the Champions League quarterfinal is going to be factored in. But they obviously haven't yet because the playoff games are still to be played. The Brighton game is the last game before we have the international break. And then when we come back, we're against Fulham at Anfield. Merseyside derby then follows away to Everton. The first time we'll be making a trip to the Hill Dickinson Stadium there. Then Palace at home. Man United away, Chelsea at home, Villa away, and then we cap off the final game of the season with a home tie against Brentford. So massive games coming up, and the end of the season is extremely tricky. Extremely tricky. Like Fulham, not an easy place, not an easy team to play against. Hill Dickinson Stadium, the first time Liverpool are going to be there, you just know that those guys are going to be really up for that one. Cup final and all that. Palace, Palace not as threatening as what they were at the beginning of the season, but who knows what they're going to be playing for or fighting for by that point. Man United, massive top 4, top 5 battle in that game between the two teams. Chelsea is the same. Aston Villa could be the same. And then Brentford on the final day. Again, Brentford aren't exactly too far away from us. But at the same time, you probably wouldn't expect them to be in and around the top 4, top 5 race. But they still could be contending for Europe if obviously things continue in the trajectory that they're going for Brentford. So they could still be fighting for something on the final day, depending on obviously how things go between now and then. So we've got some massive games coming up. We've got some exciting encounters, but also some very much threatening ones that we're going to have to contend with. Plus, like I say, you throw the FA Cup in there. You throw the Champions League in there. And depending on obviously the draws that we get in those competitions, again, you never know what to expect from those competitions. And when you combine it with what we're fighting for in the Premier League to obviously secure Champions League football for the following season, there has to be more. There has to be more from us. And like I say, I'm not going too far in the works of, oh, we've turned a corner because we got a couple of good results. I've seen it too many times. I've seen this movie too many times this season to really suggest that Liverpool are doing that, have done that, or anything along those lines. It's not great. It's not great to go and jump the gun like that. And I know that rival fans kind of want you to do it because they kind of want to like look back and laugh at you if you get it wrong. And I understand that some people have been Arnie slot in from the beginning, not just outside of the Liverpool fan base, but inside the Liverpool fan base as well. And they kind of want to be on the trail of, I was right to stick by him. I was right to stick by everything that he was doing. You were in the wrong. Right and wrong, who cares? We all want what's best for Liverpool Football Club. If you're right, you're right. Who cares? If you're wrong, you're wrong. Who cares? Again. Because, again, if you're right in Arnie slot in and I'm wrong in Arnie slot out, we both end up being winners anyway, regardless. So who cares? Who cares? Who cares? But yeah, there's a lot. There's a lot there to unpack and digest. I'm very much intrigued though. I'm very much intrigued though by how we play out the rest of the season. Got a lot going on. Like I say, there's a lot of tough games coming up. Sunday against Forest. Sunday against Forest is massive. Massive. We get a good week's rest before that game. We need to be ready for it. We need to be ready for it. And we need to be ready for anything and everything that Forest could throw at us. Like I say, we're facing a Forest side that are going to be slightly rejuvenated because of the new manager. We're going to be facing a Forest side that are probably going to throw a little bit of a curveball at us because of that new manager. We have to be ready. We have to be prepared. We can't take anything for granted. We can't go in thinking it's going to be the same old Forest of Sean Dyche, that kind of ball. It's going to be slightly different. It's going to be slightly different. And not only that, but those players are probably going to want to perform for their new manager. And if that is going to be the case, that means that their performances may be taken up a level or two. And again, if that is the case, it is probably not going to be great for us in having to stop that. We know that Forest have been a thorn in our side in recent years. We know that Forest have obviously been difficult for Liverpool to kind of beat. But we are at home. I know that doesn't exactly mean too much this season, but we are at home. No, we're not. We're away. I thought we were at home. Of course, we lost to them away earlier on in the season. My mistake. I'm looking at the wrong game. We are away from home, so that doesn't exactly help us either. But our away form, it's been all right. I don't know, man. I really don't know. Like I say, these are the games I'm more interested in Liverpool winning, because these are the games in which in which it really shows just how far Liverpool are going. Because Forest aren't going to play football. Forest aren't going to, and by that I basically mean Forest aren't going to play football out from the back. Forest are not going to play into Liverpool's hands. What they're going to do is they're going to be direct, they're going to be physical, they're going to be tenacious. They're going to try anything and everything to upset Liverpool's momentum, and that is going to be a problem for Liverpool to be forced into handling. That's going to be the problem that Liverpool are going to be forced into handling. Big up Dean, who's in the building. Lovely to have you here, my friend. I haven't seen you in ages. Hope you're okay. Yeah, man, we're all good. We're all good. Just had a big week with family and birthdays, family, and all sorts. So it's always a big week in February. So time is kind of limited for that week, but still might put out some videos and stuff. But we're back on the journey today, back on the live streams from this week onwards. So hope you're doing well, my bro. Lovely to have you here with us. Forest are going to disrupt us. Forest are going to try everything in their power to disrupt us, and we have to remain 100% focused. We have to remain focused. We have to remain patient and not throw away what we've managed to do these past couple of games. Because a loss to Forest and the win against Sunderland means nothing. Even if we drop points to Forest, it means nothing. I believe Chelsea's got a favourable game. I believe Man United have as well. Just double checking their games. So Man United take on Everton on Monday. So probably will be a win for United. And Chelsea got Burnley. So that's definitely going to be a win for Chelsea. We definitely need to capitalize on the opportunity that's presented in front of us. We need to maintain with both Chelsea and United, especially with them having easy fixtures as well. Should be easy for us, but Forest's never been easy for us. So it is what it is. Big up Marco's in the chat. Lovely to have you here, my bro. Hope you're doing well. Says, how long before Szoboszlai's shot and free kick will be mentioned in the same breath as Roberto Carlos and David Beckham? He's sublime. He is absolutely sublime. He's got a rocket of a right foot. and his free kicks are getting more and more accurate pretty much with every attempt. With every attempt, they're getting more and more accurate. I can't speak highly enough of Szoboszlai this season. I really, really can't. The way that he's just got his head down and really, really worked hard and just taken everything in his stride. He's been absolutely outstanding, and especially in a season in which the vast majority of the Liverpool players just haven't been at the level that we know them to be. He's been the one that's been head and shoulders above the rest. Obviously, special mention to Ekatike as well. But Szoboszlai has been just the main man, consistent throughout. And not only that as well, but to be so consistent whilst playing in every position imaginable on the football pitch. I think the only position he's not played in is pretty much goalkeeper. Like that's like the only position that man has not played this season. And yet he's just, again, taken it in his stride and just been absolutely outstanding from start to finish. I really, really cannot speak highly enough of Dominik Szoboszlai. And like I say, Liverpool, get your finger out, give him that new contract, tie him down for as long as we can and keep him here because we need it. We need him. We need him. And hopefully he realizes that he obviously needs us. Hopefully. that is the hope. Or maybe he's seen how Trent Alexander-Arnold is currently doing at Real Madrid. And maybe having second guesses about going to Madrid. I don't know. Either way, Szoboszlai to stay at Liverpool for a very long time is what I'm hoping for and praying for. But yeah, massive week. Forest. So that's the Forest game addressed. From the Forest game, we go to West Ham the week after. That's going to be tough. West Ham are in desperate need of points. They've actually put a decent run of form together. Nuno Espirito Santo, again, been a bit of a thorn in Liverpool's side in the past couple of years. We obviously beat West Ham earlier on in the season, but that doesn't mean anything, or doesn't mean as much. But Liverpool are at Anfield in this one. Should be a win for Liverpool. Should. We should also then go on and beat Wolves. But again, I don't know. I really don't know. Great Liverpool performance against Brighton was good. I think we'll beat Forest. It's just worrying with our injuries that keeps mounting up with Endo now. Yeah, I mean, that right back position pretty much cursed, wasn't it? I said that in my reaction video that I did, that the right back position is seemingly cursed. I'm still surprised Endo managed to get up and try and defend the corner, to be honest with you. He's absolutely mad. I was like, he's gone. He's done. He's done out here. He's the way that he landed and the way that obviously he moved to spark the injury. I was like, he is so done. Just stay down as long as possible. Get Gomez warmed up. Bring Gomez on to defend the corner. And he's there like, no, I can play on. And he's trying to play on and defend the corner. He's trying to defend the corner. And I'm watching him to try and defend the corner. And I'm like, you're going to cause more damage. You are going to cause more damage. You crazy, crazy man. Just stay down. And I love the guy. I absolutely adore the guy. I can never fault his passion and his love and his drive and determination. But at that point, I'm looking at him like, what are you doing? What are you doing? Big up Endo, and hopefully a speedy recovery to that man. What is Marinakis thinking now, getting in that manager who made Wolves dead last in the Premier League? Yet Dyche was doing well in Europe and is specialist in keeping up a team. It does seem like it's, at best, a sideways step, doesn't it? At best, a sideways step for Vitor Pereira. I don't know, man. I've questioned Marinakis so much over the course of the past 18 months or so. And I remember saying to a lot of people that, are you sure it's wise having your ownership heavily involved in footballing matters and footballing decisions? Now, I'm not saying the same goes to every club. I'm sure there are some owners that are very much big football fans and maybe know a little bit about the game and know a bit of insight about the game and, you know, may actually make some smart decisions on the pitch rather than just off of it. But Marinakis is not one of them. Marinakis is definitely not one of them. And I questioned that for a while. I questioned whether or not he was making the right choices, whether or not it's wise having him seemingly make some big decisions on the pitch, having him so close and involved with ongoing things on the pitch. I think it was it after the Leicester game last season where Forest threw away a 2-goal lead or something, drew 2-2 to an already relegated Leicester, and he stormed onto the pitch and was very angry at Nuno. I think that's when it started. It might have even started a little bit before that. But I questioned everything about Marinakis. I questioned about his conduct. I questioned everything about how involved he was at the football club. And I said that this is a slippery slope to go down. I'm pretty sure that if you find the live stream or find the video that I was talking about it, I don't remember what I did, but I definitely remember saying something along the lines of, it's a slippery slope to go down when your ownership and your owner in particular is as heavily involved as what he seems to be. Because the chances are is that that owner is a businessman rather than a football man. Very rarely do you get in that Venn diagram a guy perfectly in the middle. Marinakis is definitely not that. He is a crazy, weird, millionaire, billionaire, whatever he is, owner who may be great at making business decisions, but he seemingly has got no idea about football. Seemingly has no idea about football. So he needs to be taken out of that position and just leave it to people that actually have a footballing kind of brain. Questioned it back then. I questioned it with the sacking of Nuno. I said, like, why would you back this guy for the majority of the summer just to get rid of him? I know he spoke out about the club. I know he spoke out about you. But if you're not giving him what he wants or what he needs to succeed, then why did you proceed to still back him in terms of keep him in the job? It made no sense. It made even less sense that you would bring in the polar opposite manager to Nuno Espirito Santo in Ange Postecoglou. Why would you bring him in? It made no sense. Okay, he won a Europa League with Spurs and seemingly did the impossible. But look at the context as to why it didn't work with Tottenham. Look at the context of why it didn't work with Postecoglou. And look at the context of what you currently have with what you are adding to it with Postecoglou in terms of everything changing and being the exact opposite of what you currently have. Then bringing in Sean Dyche, which I said was a decent idea, but it should have happened instead of Postecoglou. Dyche should have came in after Nuno had left. And now you're going to Vitor Pereira. I don't know, man. I really, really don't know. I really, really, really don't know. I really, really am struggling to work all this out. I'm really, really struggling to work it all out. I don't get it. I mean, I'll be doing a video on the relegation battle as well as the top four battle at some point, I'm sure. But I'm just briefly looking at Forest fixtures. You got the Europa League playoff against Fenerbahce coming up this week. Then they face Liverpool at home at the City Ground. The second leg is the week after, before they take on Brighton at the beginning of March, away from home. A few days later, they face title-challenging Manchester City, and then they face Fulham. They then got Tottenham. Now, that Tottenham game could be interesting in terms of obviously Tottenham seemingly being drawn into a relegation dogfight. Then they face Aston Villa. Champions League chasing Aston Villa. Then they face Burnley, who might already be relegated by that point. But then they've got Sunderland. And who knows what Sunderland are going to be challenging for come the end of the season. Then they face Chelsea. Then they face Newcastle. And then they face Man United. 3 teams that are going to be challenging for some form of European football come the end of the season. And then they take on Bournemouth, a team that notoriously Forest don't do that well in facing. I'm sorry, Forest fans. And like I say, I live in the city. I live in Nottingham. I've got a lot of close friends and family that are Forest fans. I would be seriously worried right now. I wouldn't be as worried if Sean Dyche was there, because Sean Dyche very well could get a few very big points against certain teams. Certain teams here, if Sean Dyche was still in charge, I reckon he could get a few points here and there that would be very big in the grand scheme of things. But with Vitor Pereira in charge, I wouldn't be so sure. And here's the thing that you've got to do if you get relegated. Forest fans can't turn on the manager. Forest fans can't turn on the players. You can give them their fair share of the blame if you like. That's fair. But if no one is once again going to look at the ownership and look at Marinakis and say that he has ruined what was a very exciting and optimistic season as far as what Forest were concerned, I'd be concerned about what kind of hold this guy has on the fan base. Because this guy seemingly can't do nothing wrong. And yet he has appointed 3 different managers this season after Nuno. And I don't think they're going to be that great. I don't think this third one's going to be that great. You've gone through 3 managers already this season. This is now the 4th. He ruined your summer. The transfer window was just weird and baffling, to say the least. He kept Nuno in the job, even though it was clear that the relationship between them had dissolved. The relationship between them wasn't as strong as what it once was, and he wasn't being given the right tools that he wanted. He brings in a manager who's the polar opposite of everything that Forest have done these past 18 months. He then brings in a manager who is closer to the original manager that you had in already, and the opposite of the manager that you then brought in Ange Postecoglou in Sean Dyche. And now you've gone with a manager who was doing so poorly at Wolves, he got the sack after not winning a single game with them this season. I question where the logic is. And now that I've said all that, by the way, it's probably guaranteed now, because of the way that the world works, that because I've just said all of that stuff, Forest will now beat Liverpool on Sunday. And if that happens, I genuinely, wholeheartedly apologise to the entire Liverpool fan base, because I've just put that out there and I do feel sorry and I'm now worried. Will fifth this season get Champions League? It's not guaranteed. It's not guaranteed yet, but with the amount of teams that are in Europe this season, you would imagine that fifth will get England a Champions League spot, yes. Not a guarantee, not nailed on, but you would imagine that if England get enough teams through to advanced stages of all three competitions in Europe, Europa League, Europa Conference League, and of course the Champions League, you would imagine that fifth will get Champions League football this season in the Premier League. If Liverpool win the Champions League or the FA Cup, do you think Slot will stay? If it's just the FA Cup, no. If it's the Champions League, I think yes. I think yes. Because at the end of the day, like, winning the Champions League is a trophy and also Champions League football for next season. So he's basically done the objective there. I don't necessarily like it, but again, I can't argue. If he wins the Champions League, I can't argue with it. I can't argue whatsoever, because 7 Champions Leagues. 7 Champions Leagues. So, yeah, I can't argue with it. Fingers crossed. If he wins both, of course, then he definitely does stay. But if he just wins the Champions League, he stays. If he just wins the FA Cup, no. No. Definitely not if he doesn't get Champions League by the league anyway. If he gets Champions League and the FA Cup, there is a slim argument to suggest that he'll stay. Slim argument. I wouldn't personally. But if he gets FA Cup and he finishes 6th, for example, and gets his Europa League football, he definitely can't stay. He definitely can't stay with that. Especially because he's already laid down the groundwork that if Liverpool get Europa League football, we're not going to spend that big anyway. He's already laid down that groundwork, so it doesn't look good. Who do you truly believe will win the Prem, Arsenal or City? I would want it to be City. I would want it to be City. But it's going to be Arsenal. I can just see it being Arsenal. They just have the better consistency. They have the better consistency defensively. They've got the better consistency in front of goal. They've got the better consistency in the midfield. The only thing I think that will hinder Arsenal is if they get a couple of big injuries. I think if Rice goes down, if Gabriel goes down again, I reckon that could really hinder Arsenal. But I don't think, obviously, I don't want that to happen. Of course, I don't want anybody to pick up injuries. But I just think the consistency is in Arsenal's favour. And City still have a way to go to convince me otherwise. Good results in the past couple of games for City, 100%. Good results all round. But at the end of the day, I still think City every now and again have that tendency just to fall on a banana skin. That in the past they wouldn't have done because they're not facing Liverpool in their prime anymore. So it's a different City team. But yeah, I think Arsenal will do it. And I don't want them to. And a lot of people are like, oh, well, why do you want City to win the league? Simply put, for me, if City win the league, it's like, who cares? If City win the league, it's like, who cares? Like, no one cares if City win the league. No one cares. City win. To tell you how much City winning the league, no one cares about it. More people tuned in to watch Jurgen Klopp's last game, in which was a dead rubber game. Didn't really have anything on the line. It was just Jurgen Klopp's last game. That was it. More people tuned in to watch that than they did with City winning the league. No one cares if City wins the league. Their fans will be happy. Great. No one cares. If Arsenal win the league, their fans are already so unbearable by only winning one FA Cup in the 6 years that Arteta's been in charge of that club for. They're already putting players in conversations that they don't deserve to be in. They're already saying things like Declan Rice would start over Casemiro in Real Madrid's best midfield. They're already saying that Declan Rice would start over Busquets, Xavi, Iniesta in Barcelona's prime midfield. They're already saying that Bukayo Saka would make it into any prime team in the history of football, or whatever the hell they're saying about all of their players, putting them in conversations they don't deserve to be in, right? Imagine what it's going to be like when they actually win something with this newly formed team that has taken them 6 years and £1 billion to inject in. That's the bit that I don't think people necessarily realise. And look, I'll be fair as much as I can be. I don't hate Arsenal. I don't hate Arsenal, the football club. I don't hate Arsenal, the institution. I actually admire and respect Arsenal. I admire and respect them from what they managed to achieve in their history. I admire and respect them for the amount of incredible players that they've had over the years. Thierry Henry especially was just someone that I absolutely adored watching when I was growing up. Obviously, my main hero, my idol was Steven Gerrard, of course. But from the sort of outside perspective, I absolutely adored watching Thierry Henry play football, especially in that iconic Arsenal shirt. Like, he was incredible to watch. On that level, I will always admire and respect Arsenal. The bit that lets Arsenal down, and it's why I've grown to somewhat resent them over the years, has been their fans. Not all of them. Not all of them. Some of them are actually level-headed. Some of them are actually smart. Some of them are actually tolerable to listen to. But some of their fans are unbearable. And maybe it's just because they've got the platforms of like AFTV or bigger platforms on social media or whatever the case may be. But I see them a lot more than I do other fans. And they are loud, they are arrogant, and they are plain and simply put, utterly stupid. Utterly stupid. I mean, there was a clip after the Brentford draw the other day, and it's basically Lee Judges on AFTV talking about how, the beds the players slept in would have been different. Playing or the food was different, or something ridiculous like that. It was on social media. It was doing the rounds, and I basically retweeted and just said, like, look, no one hates Arsenal Football Club unless obviously you're Tottenham and Chelsea and rival fans like that. But the fans let the team down so much. Certain sections of the fan base let the team down so much. So when people ridicule Arsenal, when people are annoyed and frustrated that Arsenal have won again, it's because fans like them get away with saying such wild and stupid things. And it's just going to get worse and more deluded if they actually win something. If they actually win something, it's going to get much worse. And people don't understand that. Some people don't understand it. Some people are like, oh, well, you're a Liverpool fan. Why would you want City to win the league? Because no one cares if City wins the league. City won the league, and if it's based off of cheating, then we'll take it and we'll go, right, well, we believe we won the league them seasons. We won't get the trophies for them. Who cares? We got cheated out of it. The Premier League and the officials at B should have done their jobs. But on a footballing basis, if they're not proven to have cheated, we go, they were just one step ahead of us. They were just one step ahead of us, unfortunately, throughout that season. And on any other season, we probably would have wrapped up the title and done whatever. That season, we just didn't. It is what it is. If Arsenal win the league, though, their fans are going to be loud. They're going to be unbearable. They're going to be so annoying to listen to. I may have to take a long vacation at the bottom of the ocean just to get away from them. Just saying. What will Marinakis do when they get relegated? Sell the club, lose his temper. He'll probably sack Vitor Pereira, appoint another manager in charge, and throw a lot of money at getting out of the Championship. Because breaking the rules is something that Forest do. What do you think of Tuchel contract extension? I think it's premature. I mean, it's hard to tell with an England manager because we always should be qualifying for major tournaments. So far, he's achieved it. Great. I like Tuchel. I think he's a decent enough manager. I don't know. Like I say, I like him. I think he's a decent enough manager. I think we should have waited until after the World Cup to make that decision. We should have waited till after the World Cup, but we shall see. Big up, bro. Hope you're doing well. Lovely to have you here with us. Hope you're doing well on this Monday morning. Hope your week is starting off really well, my friend. It was a good game. Some nice partnership being shown. Curtis being played at right back, being called for months, but I saw a lot of vulnerabilities in our game against Brighton. Yeah, like I say, it wasn't perfect by any stretch of the imagination, but it was a very good performance, especially going forward. Injuries not really helping us in certain positions, but I did feel like once we got past the opening 25, 30 minutes of the game, I did feel like Liverpool started to take a hold of the game, started to get control of it. And I thought it was like Salah's best performance in a while. I thought Szoboszlai was insane in that entire game. I thought he was really, really putting on a masterclass. Jones, like you say, was very, very good. I thought McAllister was very good. And Kirkaz was absolutely outstanding. So they're the ones for me that I think were head and shoulders above the rest. It was great to see Salah being effective once again. Kirkaz looked fantastic. Dom's link-up play was fantastic, but there were a lot of vulnerabilities on display as well. A better team would exploit. The one thing I will say about that, the one thing I will say about the vulnerabilities is we are against Brighton. and Brighton play football, they play on the front foot, they're going to create opportunities and chances against any team, even the most defensively sound teams. They're going to have opportunities to get in behind us. It's whether or not they take those opportunities or not. Especially with us playing a makeshift right back as well. You know, there were going to be opportunities for and a midfield that is often so wide open, like ours has been this season. There are going to be opportunities for Brighton to exploit there. So I'm not so necessarily worried about Brighton exploiting our vulnerabilities. A better team exploiting them would make it worse, because they've been there all season. And I come to expect that. Do I like it? No. I'd like us to be a bit tighter. I'd like us to maybe not give them much hope in that regard. But I kind of expect it from teams like Brighton that want to kind of play football against us. I kind of expect it from teams that are going to get the ball down, try and play some quick football, try and work their way through the press, beat the press, between the lines, that kind of thing. They'll do that. Brighton will do that. They'll try and exploit us for that. And it's about whether or not we stop them. And I thought for the most part, we did. I don't remember them having too many clear-cut opportunities in the game. And like I say, as the game wore on, I did feel like we did suffocate them and ultimately kill them off by scoring at the right times. Like I say, the first goal was great. Kirkes's cross was sublime. Jones finished it off really well. The second goal was a lovely bit of play. Salah with a perfectly weighted through ball for Szoboszlai, who absolutely arrowed it into the corner. It was absolutely brilliant from Szoboszlai, brilliant from Salah. And then the third goal, the penalty, just ultimately put the cherry on top of the cake. And, well, Rio Ngamoa's goal would have put the cherry on top of the cake, but unfortunately, like I said before, VAR not being there didn't help. He was on the side. The goal should have stood. But I'm very much happy with the performance. And it was actually enjoyable football for the most part. And I don't think we've said that a lot this season. So I feel like we should be grateful for that kind of opinion and thought leaving the game as a review. If this is a corner being turned, then this is a corner being turned, then we need to see it with an even better performance in the next game, because there was a lot of room for improvement in that game. Yeah, I mean, I'm not saying it's perfect. I'm not saying it's perfect, but there were a lot of people online saying that a corner has been turned. And earlier on in this live stream, I basically said, I hope you're right, but I need to see more. I need to see more consistency. I need to see tighter performances. I need to see us being more clinical in front of goal. I need to see our decision-making, especially our decision-making. Our decision-making at times can be so poor in front of goal. It really, really can. And the majority of that does stem from one particular player. One particular player in particular definitely does stifle our threat in front of goal. But yes, we do need to see more. If a corner has been turned, we need to obviously hope that this is genuinely it and we're not seeing a false dawn or a false start again, as we've seen a number of times this season. Oh, we win against Villa and Real Madrid, and then we lose to City, we lose to Forest, we lose to PSV. You know, that kind of thing. We can't see that again. We need to obviously go and beat Forest in a professional manner. We need to go and beat West Ham, Wolves, and whoever else we've got after that. We need to obviously finish the season off strong, not just in the Premier League in terms of securing Champions League football for next season, but with obviously the FA Cup and the Champions League are still potential trophies for us to accumulate this season. We need strong performances. I agree with you. Every online fan base is garbage, to be frank, because of all the fake narratives and garbage that get spun on YouTube and other social media platforms. Big up Red Rebellion. Hope you're doing well, my bro. Lovely to have you here. That's why I try and be different to all them. I don't say things for the sake of saying things. I don't sit here and, say opinions that are going to get me clicks and likes and views and interactions and stuff. I'm not clickbait. I'm really not. I ask questions. I try and think things through logically. I try and look at every angle. I try and be as fair and as neutral as I can, even when talking about my own team or whether I'm talking about rivals of my own team. I attempt to try to be as fair as I can in this on this platform that I've created. And that's why that's why I try and be different, because I look at all the other, especially bigger accounts, whether it be on social media like X or Instagram, and I see that, everybody is just trying to troll. Everybody's just trying to rage bait. Everyone's trying to get clicks and interactions, whether it be through stupid analysis, boring analysis, basic analysis, or whether it be through banter, which actually isn't banter, it's just stupidity. I try and be different in terms of that aspect. And I hope that comes across, by the way. Like, I don't want to just say it and like it not actually be genuine. I hope that all comes across, because I'm not, like I say, I'm not trying to be something I'm not. I'm not trying to grow this channel as quickly as I can by making all of these stupid predictions or, trying to make stupid opinions or whatever. There is always going to be something I will say that will back it up. Sometimes it will be just gut feeling. Sometimes it will be just, I believe so-and-so will beat so-and-so this weekend because it's my gut feeling. Sometimes there will be gut feelings involved, and sometimes that does happen in sport. But for the most part, I will try and back up my opinions, my feelings with some sort of basis of factual evidence. Sometimes that will work, sometimes it won't. But like I say, I'm not looking for a fast track to being in the YouTube game here. I'm not looking for. I'm not out here trying to put rage bait out there. I'm not here trying to put pointless banter out there for the sake of just putting pointless banter out there. I'm just trying to be as genuine and as honest as I can. And I'm going to say it right now. I'm not going to change. I'm not going to change. Premature contractual extension. It happens. You've seen it before. There was definitely positives to take from the game, and I have. But for me, any talk of turning a corner is too soon. We need to see games like that consistently and more complete performances. Yeah, I 100% agree. I 100% agree. They were just, I only put it as a talking point because I saw people online saying the same thing. And they're mainly rival fans that obviously want Slot to stay because Liverpool haven't been as dangerous this season as they were last season. And they're also people that have backed Arnie Slot from the beginning that are starting to say it. And they're kind of calling out the Arnie Slot outers for being wrong and for being too premature in their in their calling out of Arnie Slot, shall we say. And even I got it a little bit when on my previous videos where I've called out Arnie Slot for some of the things that he said in press conferences and interviews and stuff. I even got a couple of comments after Liverpool beat Sunderland and even after Liverpool beat Brighton and said, "What are you saying now? Are you still saying this? Do you still want Arnie Slot out?" That kind of thing. And I'm like, yeah, because if I basically based it off of one performance and one result, I'd be a flip-flop. You call me a flip-flop for calling him out 1 minute and then wanting him to stay the next. if people are like that, then they're the flip-flops, right? Because I've called it out for how poorly our season's been so far. But if I simply go, oh, you know what? We beat Sunderland. We beat Brighton. Maybe it's not all that bad. I'm actually only slotting right now. You call me a flip-flop. You'd say I'm easily swayed by whichever direction Liverpool are going in for that brief moment. We need to see more. And what you're saying here, bro, is 100% correct. We definitely do need to see more. So, yeah, I couldn't agree more. Gakpo didn't do anything wrong, but was very quiet. So was Wirtz. I thought he was poor, actually. Maka, same as Gakpo. I thought Maka was all right. I thought Maka was decent. Again, Gakpo probably had one of his better games, but that's not saying a lot considering that the bar isn't exactly set high. So, yeah. He needs to be dropped. I'm sorry. He needs to be dropped. He needs to be dropped. The fact that Slot can sit there and drop Salah when he did, the fact that Salah can sit there and drop Gravenberch this past weekend, he can drop McAllister when he wants, and he can drop Kirkez, and he can drop Ekatike, and he can drop, when obviously he was in the team, Isak from time to time. The fact that he can't, for one reason or another, drop Gakpo for a game or two or three is a joke. It's an absolute joke. And he's got players that can play in that left wing position. It's not like he doesn't. It's not like he's the only player in that position. He's got players that can play in there. He's got Chiesa. He's got Engamoa. He can also put Ekatike in that position as well. He could put Wirtz there. He could put Soboslai there. There are players that can play in that left wing position. It's not like he doesn't have them players there. But yet, for one reason or another, Gakpo is the first name on the team sheet every single week. And every single week, he puts in a stinker after stinker after stinker after stinker. And there's no incentive to take him out. There's no incentive for him to get any better because he's the first name on the team sheet every week. Would you, if you knew you were going to be playing every single week, regardless, if you knew you were basically the first name on the team sheet every week, regardless, would you put in the extra effort to try something? Would you put in the extra effort to do something different, to improve, if you knew you were going to be playing every week anyway? No, you wouldn't. So why should Gakpo? Doesn't need to. He's going to be first name on a team sheet anyway. But I agree, it was the best game of the season so far, which is sad. I wouldn't say it's the best game of the season so far. I would probably say that we played better in certain other games. I'd say that the Real Madrid game was a brilliant performance. Frankfurt, obviously. Marseille was really, really good. I think the two games against Arsenal were decent. Karabag was brilliant. I wouldn't say that was our best performance of the season, but it was pretty good. It was pretty good. Probably thinks he will never go through a match where an opposition team gets opportunities. Football is played between you two. Cool. I just won. Okay, between you two. I'm guessing that's between you two. I'm going to say that. If Salah was not on a measly 4 Premier League goals this season, we would not be sitting in fourth spot. 29 goals last season already had us on minus 25 goals. It is what it is. It is what it is with Salah. Obviously, you've got to also take into account he missed a month with AFCON, and even a couple of games before that where Slot decided to go a bit crazy. So yeah, I've got to take that into account as well. But yeah, we expect more from a player who's on 400k a week, but at the same time, Slot has a lot to answer for. Slot has a lot to answer for with his usage of Mohamed Salah. I enjoy your analysis, but I don't agree with all of it. But it does come across genuine. I mean, I'm not expecting anybody to 100% agree with me, and that's why I encourage the debate. That's why I encourage you to call in a respectful way, of course. Call me out on stuff. If you don't agree with me, call me out on it. If you think that maybe I'm only telling half the story or whatever the case may be, call me out on it. I enjoy the debate. I enjoy it. I'm not sitting here trying to build a community that is going to basically agree with everything that I say and go, you are 100% right. And there is nothing I can say that would discredit you or question you or whatever. I encourage the debate. That's what football is all about. It's about conversation and debate. Sometimes you will agree with me, and sometimes I'll agree with you, and sometimes you will disagree with me, and sometimes I will disagree with you. That is what I encourage. As long as we can do it in a respectful way, go for it. Absolutely, by all means, go for it. Even if Salah has just been level on Premier League goals with Ekatika, he would not be sitting sixth. We would not be sitting sixth. Depends. Obviously, it depends on how our defense was. It's again, Slot's got a lot to answer for. We're all Liverpool supporters at the end of the day. We all want the club to do well. When you break it down that way, it's all very silly. I mean, it would not have been unreasonable to expect 10 Premier League goals from Salah this season so far. I mean, yeah. There is that. Again, though, I think a lot of it is down to style, how we've played. And again, I think as much as obviously we can blame players, and they should be blamed, I think a lot of it is down to the way that we have played and we've been told to play with Slot's management. So I think there are more parts to blame here rather than just Salah's performances have dropped. It must be Salah's fault. What would mean we would not be sitting in sixth? Maybe not. The reason anyone would want to change a manager is entirely reasonable for me based upon the management of the team this season. It hasn't been good in any way, shape, or form. Again, all that excitement and optimism in pre-season has vanished as the seasons wore on. He's been breaking records for all the wrong reasons. What is unreasonable is people who support the football club being called names or receiving abuse for their opinion on the club they support. That is unreasonable, but that's just my opinion, of course. I think some opinions do need calling out. There are some opinions that do need calling out. I'm happy for anybody to voice their opinion. As long as you can back up your opinion with something, with some sort of substance behind it, go for it. But if you're constantly, and I'm not saying like every now and again, I'm saying constantly go, this is my gut feeling, or you're constantly just saying stuff just to be recognized or just to be heard or just to gain some sort of following of interaction, that's when I have a problem and you should be called out for it. So I don't know. If you're saying, for example, Dominic Szoboszlai has been the worst player of the season for Liverpool, I know you're trolling because that's obviously not the case. He's been our best player by a considerable distance. Stuff like that. Club in 2022-23 finished 5th and failed Champions League qualification, was knocked out of the 4th round of the League Cup and FA Cup and the last 16 of the Champions League. This is not our worst season. I mean, it could potentially be if we finish lower than 5th. If we finish lower than 5th, it could potentially be our worst season because it doesn't really matter when we get knocked out of those competitions. I mean, we get knocked out, right? I mean, we got knocked out to the Champions League holders in that year. I don't necessarily remember who we got knocked out to in the domestic cup. I want to say it was like West Ham or something. I could be wrong. I could have got the wrong season. Either way, if we don't get Champions League football, it'll be our worst season. And we didn't get Champions League football in that season either, so it doesn't matter. Like, it'll still be terrible. And it is even worse because Klopp didn't spend 450 odd million on world-class players for us to get worse. Klopp rolled the dice on a Darwin Núñez who couldn't finish, and it just didn't work out for us. It just did not work out for us, and our midfield completely fell apart. Our midfield completely lost its legs. They lost their legs in that season. It's difficult to argue against facts. Yeah. Sometimes opinions are not facts. Very good to remember. I look at Rio on the bench and he looks dejected. For me, Rio is good enough to start. 100% he is. This is the thing. Doesn't matter how old you are. If you're good enough, you're good enough. Look at Yamal at Barcelona and look at Estevao at Chelsea. Look at those two players. I'm not saying Ngamoa is going to be on the same level as Yamal. But at the same time in saying that, the age range of them are very similar. And therefore, if they're good enough to play, they're good enough to play. And here's the thing with Gakpo that I've been saying all season long. The worst that Rio Ngamoa can do in a Liverpool shirt, taking Gakpo's position, is play the same as Cody Gakpo. For a 17-year-old, it wouldn't be that bad. The worst Rio Ngamoa can do is play the same as Gakpo. He can't play any worse than Gakpo. It would be incredible if he actually could play worse than Gakpo right now. But he can't play any worse. But the worst case scenario is he puts in the same level of performance as what Gakpo does. The only difference is that I kind of expect that more so from a 17-year-old than I would from an established international like Gakpo. He is good enough to start games. He's good enough to get the experience. And we are in danger of potentially letting another gem that we have on our hands go to waste because of poor man management. We did the same thing with Harvey Elliott. Not saying it was Klopp's fault necessarily. I think he takes a little bit of the blame. I feel like he could have played him a bit more from time to time. But I do feel like under Arne Slot, Harvey Elliott could have done a job for us. And now, and it's not Liverpool's fault, by the way, what's happening with Harvey Elliott. That's all on Aston Villa. The way that people have tried to turn the Harvey Elliott situation against Liverpool is absolutely bizarre and just proves again that Liverpool are just hated for the sake of hating us. And there is an agenda-driven motive against us by certain fans and certain people. How can you say that this is Liverpool's fault? Like, Aston Villa agreed to terms in the Harvey Elliott deal. They agreed on a mandatory fee for Harvey Elliott, and yet they're turning around and going, I think it's best for Liverpool if they just stop it. You agreed to it! Morons. But yes, going back to the original point, Rio Engamoa is 100% ready to start for Liverpool, in my opinion. He should get more game time. He should get more opportunities. And especially with Gakpo being Gakpo right now, I don't see why he shouldn't be getting those opportunities. He also was 7 out of 7. He also won 7 out of his last 7 finals and is the best manager in my lifetime. It's quality. How Slot has used Salah? Yes. Yeah. Salah last season scored an insane amount of goals. Salah this season has not. Now, you can partially put that down to Salah. You can partially put it down to the way that he's been snatching at chances, not taking those chances. There was partial blame on Salah. Maybe there's also the fact that he's gotten a year older as well. He's, maybe not as sharp in front of goal. He's maybe lost a yard of pace or whatever. But the fact of the matter is that Slot has been using Salah so wide and not as close to goal as what he was last season. It's evident. He's actually been using the fullbacks to be closer to the goal than what Salah has been. Our best goal scorer and provider in the past several years has not been as close to the goal as what he has been in previous years. I think it's been evident this year that Slot doesn't want Salah in the team. Liverpool signed him to a new deal and is being somewhat forced into playing him. I think that's a little bit evident there. I really, really do. Is it right or is it wrong? I don't know. But I feel like that has been... and I feel like that's wrong on both accounts. I feel like there's been cross wires somewhere. There's been something that has obviously gone wrong between the communication of the manager and the board. I don't know. I don't know what it is. But yeah, I think it's a bit of both. When you resort to criticising Klopp to defend your opinion, whatever that is, you've lost. Slot's been doing that for most of this season, by the way. That's why after we got through to this round of 16, he mentioned Atalanta a couple of years ago. It's why he mentioned that Liverpool couldn't spend big because he left when Klopp left. He left them after a season being in the Europa League, that kind of thing. So Slot's done the same thing, by the way. I'm just saying. Again, you're saying things with no context, Red Rebellion, trying to shoehorn into the conversation some nonsense narrative. Come on, guys, be nice to each other. I'm not criticizing Klopp. I'm pointing out that it's not our worst season. All right, then let's go back to Brendan Rodgers, then, shall we? Let's go back to Brendan Rodgers. Let's go back to Roy Hodgson. How far back do you want to go? Maybe it is too difficult for you to win. Okay, between you two. What you want about? It's your opinion. Go look at the season in the past of our worst, and let's finish. Do you start supporting Liverpool yesterday? Okie dokie, this is weird. This is really weird. Big ol' Alpha's in the building. Hope you're doing well, my bro. A few good wins for your boys over the past week or so. You feeling confident? You think you can track down City? Let me know, bro. Let me know. Would love to know how you're feeling right now as your boys track down Arsenal at the top of the table. Salah ended last season poorly and started this season poorly. Slot got panicked that Salah is washed and he tried to sideline him. I also, like I say, I also think that Slot changed his tactics and didn't exactly change them to accommodate for Salah. I think that he was kind of banking on maybe Salah leaving last summer. And then it didn't happen. And then Slot had a choice to make about whether or not to stick with what he wanted going forward or to kind of shoehorn Salah into it. The fact of the matter is that Salah is an excellent provider still. I just think he's lost a yard of pace. I think that maybe the amount of football that he's played over the years, because remember, the guy doesn't necessarily take a lot of time off with injuries. Like, I think he's only picked up maybe a couple of injuries during his time at Liverpool, and they haven't exactly been massive ones. They've been like little annoying ones. So not exactly been a long time out with injury has Salah. He's played a lot of football over the years, played a lot of intense games, played games pretty much 2 games a season for the most part. I think he's just lost a yard of pace, which means he can't really take players on 1v1 anymore. Not only that, but a lot of clubs know that Salah's like our main attacking threat or our consistent main attacking threat. So what do? They just double up on him. They just put 2 players on him, and that kind of doesn't help him. It should help the rest of the team, but we've got Cody Gakpo on the other side of the pitch, and you know he's about as useful as a solar powered torch. But you know, I just think that it's a bit to do with teams doubling up on him, a bit to do with his own pace kind of leaving him a little bit. But he's still an excellent provider. He is still an excellent provider in terms of his passing and his creation and everything. I don't know maybe whether or not a change of position could help him. I don't know whether him playing more centrally could maybe help Salah adapt his game a little bit more. But I wouldn't say he's washed. I wouldn't say he's washed just yet. I still think you can revive Mo Salah to a certain degree. I just think that he needs something different. And I thought that maybe Jeremy Frimpong would provide maybe a bit of help down that right-hand side. And when Frimpong was playing, he did a little bit. But Frimpong's constantly injured, typically. So that doesn't exactly help a great deal. But, like I say, I think if Salah doesn't necessarily need to be that goal scorer anymore either. He could be the provider. He can be the guy who's got the vision, who's got the creative spark to ignite something, to break down tough low block defenses. He can be that guy. He doesn't need to be the goal scorer anymore. It's just about him adapting to what Slot wants. It's about Slot trying to adapt to what he is and what he's doing here whilst he's here. I think it's a lot more of a complicated discussion than just, oh, Salah's washed. I think it's a bit more than that. Again, that's between you guys. It's not about if we can catch Arsenal. It's about if Arsenal can give it away in an embarrassing manner. In what? Look, out of the two teams, as I mentioned earlier, bro, I really do hope City can catch Arsenal. I would prefer City to win it over Arsenal. However, in saying that, I don't think that's happening. Unfortunately for you guys, I don't think that's happening. I think Arsenal will just about have the amount of consistency needed to get across the finish line. I hope I'm wrong. Don't get me wrong. I don't want to be sat here with Arsenal fans trolling and being unbearable. I hope I'm wrong. But your team doesn't fill me with as much confidence as it would if it was the prime City and Pep side of about 5 or 6 years ago. If it was that same Man City squad that my team went toe to toe with all them many times for them trophies that you just beat us to the post with, the point tallies of 98, 96, 94, 91 or whatever the hell it was, you know, them kind of tallies in which we were just 1 or 2 points behind you guys, I'd have so much more confidence that you can beat Arsenal to the title. In saying that, though, I'm a bit worried. All I will say is I can't have Arsenal win a quad either. So you best win the League Cup. You best win the League Cup. Because I feel that could be a big momentum swinger as well. I feel like if you guys win the League Cup, you beat Arsenal, I feel like that could also swing the momentum back in your favour as well. I think if you're still a decent amount of points either behind Arsenal, or maybe even by then you might be even level on points with Arsenal if that's the case. I don't know. I would think that game, even if it is a cup final, could definitely swing momentum into your boys' favour if you win that game. Which will be huge. It will be huge between the pair of you. So you best win that. You best win that. Haaland is hitting 15 GA in final 10 games to cook Arsenal out of the title. I hope you're right, bro. I hope you are right. I hope you're right. Can't be having Arsenal fans who are already unbearable as it is, putting players into conversations they don't belong in, getting even louder just because they finally have won the Premier League title for the first time in over 20 years. Can't be having that. Arsenal is nowhere near a quad. Again, I hope you're right. I hope you are right. But whilst it remains a possibility, it's a possibility worth talking about. As much as I don't want to talk about it, as much as I don't want to entertain the idea, until it's impossible, it's possible. I don't want it to happen in the slightest. So you've got to deliver the first blow. You've got to deliver the first blow in the League Cup. And then fingers crossed Liverpool can do it in the Champions League and the FA Cup. Fingers crossed that Liverpool can do it in those competitions and then you can win the league. Oh, we've got a long way to go. We've got a long, long way to go before that, though. But yeah, you need to deliver the first blow in the League Cup. And like I say, if you do, it could be a momentum shift. Maybe Arsenal start doubting themselves again. Maybe those Arsenal players start to be a bit nervy. And maybe those City players that obviously have had a lot of change over the past few years in terms of squad depth and things, maybe they get a bit of momentum behind them. Maybe they start to be like, you know what? We can actually do this. We've already shown we can beat Arsenal in a one-off game. We've already got a League Cup under us. And remember, the League Cup, as much as people want to ridicule the League Cup, as much as people want to be like, oh, the League Cup doesn't mean anything, never forget, and I'll always say this, Jose Mourinho, back in his heyday, back in his prime, would specialize in winning the League Cup because it was different. Because obviously the League Cup gets played just before the end of the season. Before the run-in happens, the final 10 games or so of the season, the League Cup's already decided. Mourinho would use that as an injection of confidence, a momentum boost, to have his players go, you can win that competition, you can do whatever. People want to ridicule that competition, but it's actually a big competition to win. And it's actually big in terms of, may not be a priority. You'd obviously choose to win the Premier League, the Champions League, the FA Cup over the League Cup any day. But in saying that, it's big in terms of what it could lead to later on down the line. Of course, if you're just winning the League Cup like a Newcastle, for example, and you're using it to get Champions League football for the next season in the league like they did last campaign, fine, fair enough. But for the big teams, for the bigger teams that are going for Premier Leagues, that are going for Champions Leagues, it could be huge. It could be huge. And like I say, it could be huge for one of Man City or Arsenal. For Arsenal, if they win it, it could be, we can actually win. We can actually get across the finish line when everybody doubted us. We can actually do this. Not necessarily meant to say that they're going and win it entirely, but it will be a big it'll be a big mentality boost for them, a big boost of confidence, and it will be getting that sort of big weight off of their shoulders that they finally have another trophy. For City, it will be a big sign that these players, that they can go on and win and beat Arsenal. And they can go on a run of form that could topple Arsenal right now. Because the majority of this City team, barring the exceptions here and there, haven't necessarily done it. You know, Haaland obviously was there. Rodri was there. Donnarumma did it with PSG, but hasn't done it with Man City. Guehi was obviously from Palace. He's not done it. Semenyo's obviously been at Bournemouth. He's not done it. You know, Savio hasn't done it yet. You know, Doku hasn't necessarily done it consistently yet. There are a number of players. Nico Gonzalez hasn't necessarily done it consistently. There are a big number of these players that have not been proven yet at Man City, and this could be the start if they get it right. Big up Luca Talks Dons is in the building. Hope you're doing well, my bro. Lovely to have you here with us. Guys, go and subscribe to Luca's channel. Doing some great stuff over there, talking MK Dons, talking Arsenal, and all kind of footballing things. So if you want to broaden your footballing horizons, go over and subscribe to Luca Talks Dons, doing some awesome things. Dean says, you're so right, Vlad. If City win the league, then for us it will be forgotten about quickly. So I agree, City to win the league. I mean, let's say there's going to be people that will disagree with that, and I'm happy again to entertain that debate and to understand the opinions that differ. But for me, like I say, I can handle City fans talking absolute crap about their club. The deluded ones. I'm talking about the deluded ones. I'm not talking about the sane ones. I'm talking about the deluded ones. Like, what's his name? The City guy. I haven't seen him for a while, but the City guy who normally hangs out with like Rory Jennings. Like, I don't know whether delusion runs on delusion. I don't know. Boovy. That guy. That guy is... I don't know whether he's as deluded as they come or whether he's just as rage baity as they come, but it could be a little from column A and a little from column B. But yeah, he's terrible. He's absolutely terrible. Either way, I can handle that at least. What I can't handle is AFTV, Robbie, Ty, Igal, all of them guys running their mouths, talking crap, and putting players in conversations they don't deserve to be in. That's what I can't handle that. Can't handle that. Haaland's record in the final 10 Premier League games is 12, 11, and 8. Trust my striker. I trust your striker. It's just going to be about who's providing it for him. Because Foden's been on and off the boil. Doku's injuries are sort of building up a little bit. Semenyo hit the ground running at City, which is a rarity for a Pep Guardiola signing, I will admit. Fingers crossed he will continue. Like I say, I have no doubt in Haaland's ability. And I would trust in Haaland if I was a City fan. It's mainly about the creative side that I worry about. And not only the creative side, but if Haaland isn't exactly firing on all cylinders, who's going to step up for him? That's the worry that I would have slightly. When pro players retire, they're not going to talk about finishing second in the table. They talk about having a League Cup medal to go home to their name. Yeah, I mean, that's why in about 10 years' time, Liverpool fans will wax lyrical about Jurgen Klopp, but history won't be too kind to Jurgen Klopp. I want it to be kind to him. I want him to get the plaudits and the respect that he deserves. But everybody is going to be like, well, you only won one Premier League. You only won one Champions League. You only won one FA Cup, 2 League Cups, a Charity Shield, a Club World Cup. What's so special about that? And that's why history will not be too kind to Jurgen Klopp, as much as I want it to be, and as much as I think he deserves all the praise in the world for what he has done for Liverpool Football Club this past decade. But yes, you are 100% right. I just want a gal to cry at the end of the season. It would be magic. It would be magical if that was to happen. The guy has been really smug for a long, long time. He has been super smug and typically a bit delusional. For the not every now and again. But yeah, he's been super smug for so long that to wipe that smirk off his face would be beautiful. It would be glorious to watch. What a win! But if these 2 goals was not offside, we would have crushed it. Big up, Kinsman is in the building. Lovely to have you here, bro. Yeah, you're 100% right, bro. Like I say, if VAR was in play, we obviously would have won that by more. But it is what it is, man. It had no overall bearing on the game, which is good. But again, needs to be addressed. It does need to be addressed. And DT will be unbearable if Arsenal win the league. I mean, yeah. I mean, sad what happened to that guy because, you know, when he actually talked football, he was actually okay. I feel like he was a bit extreme sometimes, but he was actually all right in talking about football from time to time. I actually enjoyed watching some of DT's stuff. And then he went and did what he did. And, yeah, despised the guy. Absolutely despised the guy. And now he just tries to stay relevant by just talking nonsense. So I've just unfollowed him on everything, I think. I have anyway. I've not watched his content for God knows how long. Is he even still doing content? I don't even know. Don't even care. Just is what it is. Jurgen Klopp will get the respect, but his trophies are going to be compared to what Liverpool won before that. Not just what Liverpool won before that, but they'll also be compared to Pep Guardiola at the same time in the same in the same time frame. No context will be applied, by the way. No context will be applied. It's not like they're going to be looking at City and going, well, Guardiola took over a City side that were already winning trophies and already winning league titles. And Liverpool were a complete mess when Klopp took over. That context will not be applied. Which is why, again, like I say, I don't think history will be too kind to Klopp. As much as I think it should be, and as much as I would love it to be, and as much as I would like, some football fans will be out there and they'll take context into consideration, and they'll obviously go in with research and obviously will try and provide balanced arguments and stuff. But most fans will basically go, look at his trophies, look at Guardiola's trophies, look at Liverpool's history of trophies. Klopp wasn't that great. Basic analysis. I won't be arguing with these morons. Let them have a chat. Guys, if I admire, obviously, the diverse opinions, the diverse beliefs. Try and keep it as civilized and as respectful as we can. Like, that's all I ask. That's all I ask. Just try and keep it as respectful as possible. I understand that you two had a difference of opinion. I understand that. And I'm sure that, you know, if you were to have a debate about it, it would make for intriguing viewing. But like I say, just try and keep it respectful. I understand that sometimes it can get heated. Sometimes it can get a bit out of hand. Just keep it respectful, guys. Come on. VAR should be in the FA Cup. The lack of VAR is obviously only for the drama. Well, it will be included later on, won't it? It's only... Is it the quarterfinals it comes in, or the semi-finals? Or maybe even the fifth round. Maybe even as early as the fifth round. But I know that VAR basically is... It is in the competition, but it's not in the early stages. Now, I understand that obviously there's a lot of technology and there's a lot of games, and you'd obviously need it for every game to be playing. I get that. But at the same time, it's a little strange. And even when it is involved, I think it depends on the game, doesn't it? Because when Man United won it a couple of years ago, the game that they played against Coventry didn't have VAR because it was at Coventry's ground. I'm pretty sure that was the story, wasn't it? Correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel like VAR was introduced into that round of the competition. But because Coventry were the lowest ranked team and were playing at home, or am I just making that up and I've completely got the story wrong? I don't remember. I don't remember off the top of my head. Or it might just not have been in that round of competition at all. I don't remember. My brain's gone. My brain's gone. I'm not trying to dig United out, by the way, in saying that. I'm basically just trying to say what I'm trying to remember. It's either Coventry were at home, they didn't put VAR in, but they had it in all the other games, or they just decided not to have it at all. I can't remember what it was. I don't remember. Anyway, yeah, I can't remember, but I do agree. because there was some shocking calls this week. There was some absolutely shocking calls this weekend. There was the Newcastle Aston Villa one, clearly handled in the box, gives a free kick. Like what? Man City's goal, third goal, I believe, onside, was given offside. Then there was a goal. It might have been in the Newcastle Aston Villa game as well. There was a goal that was given that wasn't a goal because it was offside, but it was classed as onside. And then, of course, Liverpool had a goal ruled out, which was onside, which they called offside. So I've got no idea. I've got no idea, to be honest with you. It's crazy. It's not that deep. It's just men chasing the ball. Fair point. I would prefer VAR. I agree with you purely based on the fact that if you're not going to have it in every game in the FA Cup, you shouldn't have it at all. I don't like the idea that a team in one round can get by when probably they shouldn't based on a dodgy referee call, but then in the next round can get, again, either hard done by or get another dose of luck because VAR decides to rule either against you or for you. I don't like that. I think either you have VAR in the competition and you have it from the beginning right through to the end, which I know will be very difficult considering that obviously you've got to go down the real grassroots of the footballing pyramid in the early stages of the FA Cup, or you just don't have it at all in any of the games. Because it would still be wrong to have it just in the final as well. So either have it in all of them or none of them. Don't do this whole thing of, yeah, well, when we get to the fifth round or the quarterfinals, then we'll just introduce it. Seems a bit wrong to me. It seems a bit wrong. I feel like it should either be one or the other. I'd not half and half it. The refereeing in particular, that Villa-Newcastle game was horrendous, but I'd still rather not have VAR. Again, it's not... When people say VAR, it's not the technology that's the problem. It's the people operating the technology. That's my only bugbear with when people say that. It's the referee. The referees are useless. The referees, the officials, everybody in the PGMOL is absolutely useless. The technology is somewhat fine. I still think there are some things that need to be ironed out. I still think they can maybe do more with the technology. But in saying that, for the most part, it's fine. It's fine. It's the people operating the technology. It's the people that are constantly doing one thing one week and then the complete opposite the next. It's the people that don't do their research when it comes to these things. It's awful. And by research, I'll give you an example. Remember when Virgil van Dijk scored a perfectly legit goal against Manchester City, got ruled out because Andy Robertson was supposedly in the way of Donnarumma, which he wasn't. Should have been given as a goal. Liverpool should have equalised. It should have been 1-1 and game on from there, right? Goal was ruled out, chalked off. The next week, Forest score a goal against Liverpool. Pretty much the exact same thing happened. That goal was given. Even though the Forest player was directly in front of Alisson Becker, who was obstructing him. Why didn't the VAR go, oh, hang on a minute. I remember a couple of weeks ago, we didn't give this kind of goal because he was in the way of the defender. If we're to stay consistent on this, we need to disallow this goal as well. They don't do that. They just go with, yeah, the wind is blowing in this direction today, so we're going to go with that decision. And then next week they go, oh, hang on a minute, the wind is blowing in the opposite direction. We're going to go with the opposite decision. They don't do their research. They don't look at things. And it's not just goals like that. There's red card decisions. There's other things like that as well that constantly get in this bracket of clear and obvious, a huge, horrible grey area that I absolutely despise, hate, and I think it is ruining the game. And that's why officials are useless. He's given the FA Cup some magic back. Yeah, there is that possibility as well. I agree. Like I say, I do think it. I do think you either need it in all games or you just get rid of it entirely. I agree with you. The technology isn't streamlined enough yet. All the waiting, the fans not being able to celebrate, it sterilizes the game for me. Again, there are some things that need to be ironed out with the technology and its usage. But for the most part, it is basically just down to the officials that are useless and incompetent. 50,000 people waiting around to celebrate. It's ridiculous. Just as a spectacle, it even looks ridiculous. It does, especially when you consider that other sports use similar pieces of technology and they manage to arrive at decisions so much quicker than what football does. And football is meant to be a fast-paced game. Football is meant to be a game that prides itself on being fast and intense. And then, like you say, when referees are basically running over to a screen to watch it from about 12 different angles at about 6 different speeds, and they still can't get to the right decision, even though it's painfully obvious to the viewer who only got to watch it once in real time what the decision is, it does make the game a laughingstock. I do agree with you. The offsides in particular are being horrendously officiated. 100% agree. The advantage has always been to the attacker in 30 to 40 years of football or however long it's been. And suddenly it's now, if you're 1 millimeter not in line, it's offside. I mean, I think the offside rule needs to be changed anyway. Offsides are becoming tighter and tighter every single game. So tight. I mean, you take the one that Liverpool scored a few weeks ago against Fulham. Wirtz is clearly, in my opinion, offside. How we got away with that, I'll never know. But since then, there's been about 2 or 3 occasions, at the very least, where the attacker has been offside by basically an arm hair. And yet the officiating's gone offside. I think the rule does need to be looked at. I agree with you. Anyway, we're going to end it there, guys. Really good talk, really good chat. Really do appreciate each and every single one of you being here. Do me a massive favor and hit that like button if you haven't already, and subscribe if you are new. Both things will always and forever be greatly appreciated from you wonderful, wonderful people. I cannot thank you enough for the love and support that the channel has been receiving. It is absolutely incredible from you all. I really, really do appreciate it. You guys are absolutely freaking awesome. Love you all to pieces. Really do appreciate it. Hit the comment section as well if you have anything else to say on anything that we talked about in this video, or anything that you want to talk about for future videos and live streams to come. All of that good stuff will be great and interesting reading, I'm sure. So please do leave your thoughts, comments, opinions, predictions, feelings, whatever you call it, down below in what will now be the comment section. Big up, guys. Have a good day, mate. Have a good day yourselves, bro. Have a good day yourself. And same to you as well, Dean. Thank you for tuning in, bro. Always appreciate each and every single one of you being here and talking football with me. It really is outstanding from you all. Really do appreciate it. As always, thank you all so much for watching and listening. I've been Fletch. This has been another Fletch Talks live stream, and I will see and speak with you all again soon in another video or live stream or whatever it may be. Cheers, guys. Thanks everyone for watching. Take care of yourselves. Enjoy the rest of your day. Once again, thank you for your love and support. Really does mean the world to me. I'll see you all again in the next one. Take care, people.